I'm going to kill you. I flushed you then.
Yeah,
okay?
fuck, yeah, no, all good.
Hey everyone, back to the Bench TV here with you today with my two co-hosts, Joseph and Adam. We're joined here at the lovely Princess Park in Carlton North. And what a treat we have today. A Hawthorn legend and also played for the Gold Coast Suns over a game span of 205 games. Campbell Brown joins us.
How are you, boys?
How's it going?
What's going on?
Soft as butter, mate.
Thanks for having me.
So finally getting a hold of you, Brownie. Over your 205 game career at two clubs at Gold Coast and the Hawks, it was seen that you were that tough, ferocious player. You obviously played on a lot of big opponents, played in key position. But obviously, I think that was noted from your career that was really big was, your intensity and your ferociousness on the ball. I just want to know, Brownie, how did this come about? Was it something already naturally instilled to you as a player, or was that something coaches wanted you to play on and they loved that in your role?
I was always just a really competitive guy. I hate getting beaten in the contest and obviously on the scoreboard. So I didn't have the natural silky skills and ability of some players. So I really had to bring that intensity and aggression every single week to sort of keep my spot on the side, and that was sort of my role within the team. So just had to try and bring it and try not to step over the line.
Yeah. And we speak of this ferociousness and your hard nut at the ball, being right at it, coming against some big opponents. In terms of your hits, we've seen some big hits, especially international rules on one of the Irishmen, Daniel Jackson. There was many others, we could name, could be here all day if we spoke about it. But what was one in mind that really sticks out in so many ways, and one that just really stands out from the others if you had to pick one?
They're a bit soft, the Irish, aren't they? That was a nice one. But I remember in my second year, I was about 19 or 20, we were playing St Kilda at the MCG, and Justin Peckett, absolute gun for the Sainers. I flushed him one day and jogged off back to my position. I noticed that my shoulder was a little bit sore, and I looked down at it, and I'd actually had his tooth embedded into my shoulder, so pulled it out and kept playing the game.
Tooth on your shoulder?
Yeah, Frankie Peckett's tooth. So that had never happened to me before or since. It was a good hit. You'd probably get reported for it in today's football, but back then, in 2003, it wasn't even a free kick.
Yeah. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the biggest hit Brownie's done. And tooth in the shoulder. So does not happen very often. But we will take it to the we will take it to the bench with Adam, and he'll discuss a bit more about your career.
Can't wait.
Sweet. Welcome, Brownie. Welcome to the bench, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Can't gold any blokes with you, mate. Just sitting down having a chat, mate. Good to have you on. So, talked to Nick earlier on. Now with me. So, I want to know about your the good moments in your career. Obviously, that 2008 Premiership. That year, Geelong just the best team all year. Finished first, and the Hawks finished second. But ultimately, backs against the wall. No one had you down for that flag, and then remarkably, you come out on top and convincingly win that game. I just want to know. What was it like shocking the footy world and getting up for that win against a pretty big rival, obviously in the 80s, a lot of brawls there you had. What was it like getting up in that game and getting that flag?
It was the highlight of my career, obviously, and we were still a young group building, and hadn't had a lot of finals experience, so we really went into that game feeling confident internally, but the footy world, obviously. The Cats winning 07 so easily and only dropping the one game all year. They were massive favourites. So we knew we were going to have to play pretty well, and a few things went our way. Their goal kicking obviously was deplorable.
Mooney, I think it was.
Moons missed a couple of shots on goal right on half time, one, and then the first shot after half time he hit the post as well. So that sort of gave us a bit of confidence, and a couple of acts of individual brilliance by Stewie Dew and Cyril Rioli and Mark Williams. All of a sudden, we found ourselves in a winning position at three-quarter time and held on for dear life.
Yeah.
We lost a couple of players early too. Trent Crode with his foot and Clinton Young. So we didn't have many rotations on the bench. So we just had to work really hard. And Yeah, it was a great moment. Obviously, the Hawks and the other boys went on to win second, third, and fourth premiership. Some of them. So that was my one and only grand final, and thrilled to get away with the win.
Yeah. So probably a stupid question, but would you say that's probably the best moment of your career?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, from a team perspective, that's why you play the game. We always had a pretty good history against the Cats. Like, we felt like we played pretty well against them, so that's the pinnacle. Obviously, Shane Crawford's last ever game, letting the champion go out on a high like that was very special.
Yeah. So obviously some great memories there, and then a few years later, I think it was 2011, 2012, the Gold Coast Suns new expansion team, and you're one of the main, figureheads to join the club as one of the senior players. I just want to know what it was like being one of the senior players, in a group of so many young, talented kids, obviously losing heavily every week. What was it like to move into a culture so different to Hawthorn at that time?
Yeah, it was a shock. You think you know what you're moving into. Hawthorn, obviously, big club, a lot of history, playing finals in premiership mode, going up there with just a blank canvas, really, and all those young guys, as you mentioned. It was much harder than I anticipated. We won 3 games in our first year, and that was fantastic. But we copped a lot of big defeats. Second and third years, were tough. We didn't have great facilities. We had a lot of injuries as well. So a little bit tough and frustrating for a senior guy that, is pretty competitive. I didn't handle the losing every week a lot, but it was a decision that I've made, and I think it was the right decision for my football. It's certainly interesting times up there at the Gold Coast.
Last question from me. So this is a bit different to footy, more about your, obviously known for your sledging back in the day. A few players come out and said some comments, including Eddie Betts, who actually called you straight up crazy. Some comments you made to him. I just want to know, can you add anything to this? What did you say at the time, and what would you say to Eddie now if you saw him?
I love Eddie. He's one of my favourite players of all time. I loved our battles. Early in his career, I used to play on him a little bit, and I didn't mind the odd sledge here and there, to try and put a player off their game. Stevie Johnson's the best sledger I've come across. He gave as good as he got, but I had some remarks to Eddie on that particular night to try and just take his mind elsewhere. But I think he kicked a couple of goals on me late in that game, so I couldn't catch Eddie. He was too quick and elusive for me, so that's why I was trying to sort of gob off.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's always been a little fantasy of mine to absolutely get decked by the Campbell Brown, the bulldog he is. So I'm going to be in the moment as Eddie Betts when Campbell Brown threatened to kill him on the pitch. So let's go, boys.
Put your head over the footy, I'm going to kill you. I flushed it in.
All good.
In the pack.
That's fine, that'll do. All right, Brownie, I'm keen to know your biggest influencer at the club. Who was the bloke at the club that kind of gave you the green light to play for that aggression, that passion that you had for footy?
Clarko was the one. He really simplified the game for me. Would just tell you to know your limitations, play within your strengths and what's best for the team. So he always encouraged me to sort of play with that aggression and try and bring the boys along with me a little bit, and that's what we did. So he was fantastic.
That's great. That's what you thrived off as a footballer. Yeah, so just on the significant influences at the club, Damien Hardwick was at the Hawks for 5 years. How was he as a coach, and what was his relationship like with the players?
Yeah, he was sensational. Obviously, he had that premiership experience from Port Adelaide and Essendon, and he was really big on building relationships with the players, and I think you could sort of see that was a real strength of his. We respected him, we loved him when he would come down and talk to us as a group. So not surprised to see that he's gone on and had so much success at the Tigers. They're a really tight-knit group, and tactically he was very sound, but I think his people management skills, which is so important if you want to be a good senior coach, stands out.
Beautiful. And just back on your sledges, got to go there. Matthew LLoyd. I think it was 2009, was it? The line in the sand? Correct me if I'm wrong, Brownie.
Certainly was.
Uh,
The line in sand was 2004.
2004, but then
the hit on Brad Sewell.
that's the one we're on about.
Was 2009.
That's the one. So, yeah, made a comment after the game saying that he was the biggest sniper in the game.
Mate, we're not going to forget in a hurry what Matty LLoyd did, and I hope he plays on next year. Matty LLoyd, he's done that a fair few times to us, and I think he's one of the biggest snipers in the game, so his time's coming.
And basically told him to watch your back, mate. Watch himself. Do you stand by those comments now, and do you still believe back in the day he was the biggest sniper in the game?
Absolutely, I stand by those comments. He was very good at picking blokes off, and we had a great rivalry, Essendon and Hawthorn. And who could forget that big hit on Brad Sewell? He went on and won the game for his club. So he did a good job there, but he got rubbed out and retired. So me and Lloydie always had a very volatile relationship. But he's a superstar of the game, and we've buried the hatchet a little bit since. We both work in the media. We get along, fine. But during those spiteful years when Hawthorn and Essendon had that big rivalry, we didn't like each other much. For sure.
So fellas, that just wraps up our interview with the one and only Brown Dog. Fortunately, UB got a bit of a hit to the back.
Cool, mate. I asked for it and I copped it. There you go.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you wish for, guys. That's the moral of the
Chuck
story.
some ice on it when I get home.
But yeah, once again, thanks Brownie, and thanks everyone for tuning in. See you next time.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Brownie. On your mate.
Good on you, boys.